Let's get right into it. Humans have been cooking stuff for about 2 million years. But not because grandma said it was polite. Nope. The real reasons our ancestors started cooking are a little darker, a little grosser, and way weirder than you'd expect. So grab your hot plate and settle in. Here are some creepy truths about why we actually started cooking food. Number 10. Raw meat revenge. You probably think cooking meat is all about taste and texture, right? Wrong. It's about the parasites. Imagine sitting down to a juicy raw mammoth steak, only to end up being the next Airbnb for a tapeworm the size of a jump rope. Yeah, cooking meat wasn't just culinary genius, it was survival. See, prehistoric humans didn't really have microscopes or WebMD, but they did have plenty of nights doubled over with stomach cramps, vomiting up weird things that looked like spaghetti but moved. Cooking was basically the prehistoric equivalent of running your food through a car wash. It killed all the creepy crawlies hitching a ride. In fact, studies of ancient poop, yes, ancient poop is a thing, and some poor intern had to sort it, show that early humans who didn't cook often ended up riddled with intestinal parasites, the kind that crawl out of you while you're asleep. So yeah, that little bonfire was less about s'mores and more about, I don't want to wake up with a worm poking out of my eye. Basically, your ancestors lit up the grill because their digestive systems were screaming, please, for the love of all that is holy, stop eating worms. Number 9, brain fuel buffet. Now here's where it gets juicy and a little unsettling. Cooking didn't just make food safer, it made you smarter. But not because of some inspirational caveman TED talk about the power of hot soup. No. Cooking rewired our entire species to grow bigger, hungrier, more energy-guzzling brains, at the expense of our guts. See, raw food takes forever to chew and digest. Like hours. Seriously, watch a chimpanzee eat for a day. They spend half their lives just gnawing on leaves and still end up with brains the size of a tangerine. Early humans hacked biology by cooking food, which made calories way easier to absorb. Suddenly, our bodies didn't need to waste so much energy on giant intestines and could start investing in big energy hog brains. So, next time you microwave a burrito, thank your ancestors for sacrificing bowel real estate so you could solve calculus and binge Netflix. Basically, we traded our gorilla guts for galaxy brains, and it all Ted with a hot rock and a dead rabbit. Number 8, chewing sucks. Okay, pop quiz. How much time do you spend chewing every day? 5 minutes? Maybe 10? Early humans? Try 6 hours a day. Chewing. Just chewing. Turns out raw food, especially fibrous plants and tough raw meat, takes forever to break down. Cooking was the prehistoric version of outsourcing the work. Heat basically pre-digests your food before it even hits your mouth, cutting down chewing time by 90%. This was a game changer. Less time chewing meant more time for other fun activities, like, not getting eaten by saber-toothed cats, making babies, inventing fire, or staring at the stars contemplating your mortality. It also explains why our jaws and teeth are puny compared to other primates. You stopped chewing yourself into oblivion, and your face evolved to match. So yeah, cooking didn't just save your ancestors' time, it literally shaped your face. Which, if you think about it, is kind of poetic, and also kind of horrifying. Number 7, rotten luck. Let's get gross, really gross. Cooking didn't just kill parasites, it also turned nearly spoiled, borderline rancid meat into something edible. Picture this. It's Ice Age Europe, there's no grocery store, and you've just taken down a mammoth. Congrats! Except, you can't eat it all at once. Even in winter, that carcass starts to smell funky within a few days. Enter fire, the prehistoric Febreze. Cooking masked the smell and flavor of decaying meat just enough to trick our survival-wired brains into thinking, this seems fine. Turns out, your ancestors' sense of smell was great for sniffing danger, but they were still desperate enough to roast week-old mammoth thighs covered in bacteria and call it dinner. So, yes, cooking was basically a loophole to eat leftovers way past their expiration date. Somewhere in your DNA is the memory of a caveman shrugging at a suspiciously green hunk of meat and tossing it on the fire anyway. That's right, you come from a long line of people who literally cooked the rot out of their food. Bon appetit. Number 6, fire makes friends. Okay, here's a creepy psychological twist. Cooking didn't just change your stomach, it changed your social life. Think about it. Before cooking, humans were solitary scavengers, gnawing on raw scraps alone in the dirt. Fire, and the ability to cook was the original dinner party. Suddenly, everyone huddled around the flame. We bonded over sharing cooked food, gossiping about who fell into the river last week, and plotting how not to die tomorrow. Anthropologists even think cooking created human culture itself. Without fire and communal meals, there's a good chance you'd still be hiding in a tree somewhere, hissing at anyone who got too close. Cooking forced us to cooperate, to share, to not murder each other over scraps of carrion. It was like a social glue. Sticky, warm, and a little dangerous. So next time you awkwardly hover by the snack table at a party, just remember, awkward socializing has been part of human survival since the first mammoth barbecue. Number 5. Fire as a weapon. You thought fire was just for marshmallows? Oh no. Early humans realized fast that fire and cooking made them scarier predators. Not just because they could eat more and hunt better, but because they could wield fire. Even big cats and wolves learned to respect the glowing orange circle in the dark. Some scientists even argue we didn't just cook on fire, we cooked with it. As in using flames to drive prey into traps, burning nests of insects to eat roasted larvae, delicious apparently, or simply torching the landscape to herd animals into kill zones. Cooking wasn't just about making food better, it was a whole power move. It said, we're the ones with fire, don't mess with us. So yeah, fire was the first kitchen appliance, and the first weapon of mass intimidation. And you thought your air fryer was impressive. Number 4. Eating your enemies. Here's one that'll ruin your next barbecue. Early humans may have started cooking other humans. Yep, cannibalism wasn't just a horror movie trope. Archaeologists have found burned, cut-mark human bones in caves dating back hundreds of thousands of years. Some of those markings clearly show someone somewhere roasted another person on purpose. Why? Well, part of it was survival. Starvation does weird things to your morality. But there's also evidence some groups did it ceremonially, like eating the dead to absorb their power or spirit, or as a big don't mess with us flex to enemies. Cooking made that easier. Because raw human flesh is as tough as raw anything else. And a nice roast was probably easier to stomach, literally and psychologically. So next time someone says humans are civilized, just remember, you come from a species that once looked at a rival and thought, well, waste not, want not. Talk about having someone over for dinner. Number 3, keeping the monsters away. You know that comforting glow of a campfire at night? Yeah, that instinct runs deep. For early humans, fire wasn't just about eating better. It was about not being eaten. Cooking meant staying put by the fire longer at night, which conveniently doubled as predator repellent. Big cats, bears, wolves, they hate fire. Cooking kept humans alive not just because of nutrition, but because it gave us a mobile fortress. And the scent of cooking meat? It masked your delicious human smell from prowling beasts. In other words, cooking was our first home security system. Except instead of motion sensors, it was a giant flaming stick. So next time you light up the grill, just think. Somewhere deep inside your brain, your ancient ancestors are screaming, yes, we're safe from the monsters, at least until morning. Number 2, cooking killed our sex appeal. Here's a weird, tragic one. Cooking may have actually made humans less sexy. Before fire, our ancestors had to spend all day chewing, foraging, and digesting. And believe it or not, being muscular and lean was kind of standard. But cooking made calories way more accessible, and our bodies started packing on fat, storing energy for our giant new brains. Basically, we traded ripped abs for big heads. Cooking let us gain weight and live longer, but it also meant our bodies started storing energy differently. Less ripped orangutan, more marshmallow with a prefrontal cortex. So, yeah, every time you eat a hot meal, remember, it's why you're smart enough to read this script and just squishy enough to need gym memberships. Cooking made humans better survivors, but worse swimsuit models. Number 1, cooking made us cruel. Here's the real kicker. Cooking may have made us kind of terrible. By giving us more energy, better brains, and safer nights, cooking let humans dominate the food chain, but it also let us dominate everything else. Fire let us reshape entire ecosystems, burning forests to flesh out animals, outcompeting other species, even wiping out whole populations of prey because, well, we could. Some anthropologists argue that once humans mastered cooking, we started seeing the world as something to consume and control. More calories, more brains, more weapons, more power. So in a way, cooking was humanity's first slippery slope toward becoming the planet's apex predator and biggest problem. We didn't just roast meat, we roasted the competition. Basically, fire didn't just keep the monsters away, it made us the monsters. So, what does it all mean? Cooking wasn't just about tasty meals and warm memories. It was about survival, parasites, predators, social glue, power, and a little bit of darkness. Fire let us be smarter, fatter, safer, and meaner. It literally rewired our biology, shaped our culture, and gave us the ability to destroy anything in our path. So, next time you light the stove or toast a marshmallow, just remember, that innocent little flame is what turned a bunch of hairless apes into the rulers of Earth. Bon appetit. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.